Welcome back to Everyday Economics. This is the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics, production of America's Talking Network. You can subscribe to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Friday, November 1st, 2024. And joining me, as always, my friend and colleague, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Dr. O, so we were doing some show prep this week, just trading some text messages and checking in on each other. I tossed out this idea, and you're indulging me, and I appreciate that. There are a lot of younger Americans who are sort of like kind of making their way in the world, getting started.
Forget about younger Americans. I mean, I get a notification, "Ooh, your credit score went up." I'm like,
Well, that's where I'm headed with this. Like, where does your credit score come from? I mean, in particular for young, I was focusing on younger people because, your credit score starts to matter when you want to start to do stuff like get your own apartment, like buy your first car, like, buy your first house, of course, and sort of like that progression. Not everybody goes in that order. But nonetheless, where does your credit score come from? And when does it? Yeah, go ahead.
There are people that won't get married to somebody with a low credit score. So it matters, man.
Yeah.
It matters. If you're still out there dating, well, your finances matter.
Yeah, right.
So it's a house, it's a car, it's even marriage. It can affect things for the rest of your future. And so really, really important to get that right.
So talk to me about how a credit score comes about. I mean, I have my middle daughter is in her senior year of high school. And so, we've made some college visits. And as I was walking around at a university this past week, credit card application materials are readily available for college students, and credit card companies would love for the next generation to start to become credit card holders and carriers. That seems to be where it begins, I think, but I don't know that for sure. So, I mean, what is the pathway to building a credit score?
Exactly. I mean, the earlier, the better. And I'll tell you why. There are a couple of factors that go into your credit score. Your payment history, of course, once you have a credit card, the ability to pay your bills on time. Because late payments, delinquencies, bankruptcies, account sent in collection will negatively impact 35% of your score, right? That's the weight they put on payment history. Credit utilization. So they want you to use your credit, but not use it too much, right? If you're using too much of your credit, it's usually a signal that perhaps you're either not earning enough or you're in some sort of financial crunch and you're having to resort on credit. And so that makes up 30% of your credit score.
Mm-hmm.
The length of your credit history. The longer you've had credit for, the better off you are, right? Mm-hmm. The age of your oldest account and the average age of all your accounts really matters, right? So, which is why I said it's important to start early, right? Establishing credit when you're, a young adult at 18 going to college, I think it's a good idea. And keeping those accounts active and open for a long time is going to help your credit score. That's 15% of your score.
Mm-hmm.
Then they look at your credit mix. And when I say they, it's the credit bureaus. So the credit mix is going to be, does this person only have a bunch of credit cards? Or does he have a mortgage or an auto loan, right? Having a good mix means that you're probably very good at paying your bills on time. And so lenders find you an attractive prospect, right? They know that they can lend money to you and that you will pay it back on time with interest. And so they like that. They like those people, right? Who pay their bills on time and make them money by paying them interest, essentially. And so having a good credit mix is going to positively affect your credit score and that counts for about 10% of your credit score. Now, new credit inquiries. Right? So like every time you want to open a new credit card or get a loan or whatever, somebody is going to have to check your credit history, right? To make sure you're somebody that is, someone they could feel comfortable lending to.
Mm-hmm.
And so credit, new credit and credit inquiries actually temporarily lower your credit score. If you have too many of them, it could be a sign that you're desperate to get access to funds, right? And so they'll look at that and say, well, hold on a second. This person has applied for, 5 or 6 credit cards in a 2-week period.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're in some sort of financial crunch. And so they may borrow and not be able to repay. And so that negatively affects your credit score. So that kind of sums it up, in terms of what are the factors that matter for the credit score that you end up with.
Yeah. So, I mean, like in summary, if if you're just starting out, go ahead, get a credit card. That's fine. Pay your bill. That's important. And anytime.
The first thing is keep the spending small.
Yes.
Because you don't want to use too much of your credit, right? You have a credit limit, but you don't want to use it all up, right? Because that's usually a sign to lenders that something's wrong with your finances. Mm-hmm. So you want to use a small portion of that allocated or allotted credit, and then just and use it and then repay it on time. I personally advise to pay your full bill at the end of each billing cycle, or even before the end of the billing cycle. It's a sign that you're in control of your finances, and lenders see that as a positive thing, and they see it as hey, this person, we can trust this person, can be trusted to borrow more, to borrow often, because they often repay on time and maybe even before the billing cycle's over.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It's a little bit different for us, but I think, I think it's important for us to talk about real things that affect real people, and just, with this entire group of...
And it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. In fact, it's not impossible to even come back from a bankruptcy, right? Yeah. And end up with an 800 plus, right? With a very high credit score. So, don't throw your hands up in the air, right? It's important to look at your bills, to look at your finances, to set yourself up for success. Don't bury your head in the sand, right? Grab the mail, open up the bills, look at your finances, and make a plan, right? Is the advice that I give to people. I talk to people in the housing market all the time. Make a plan, right? There are plenty of tools out there that are available to help you navigate your finances, but also maybe get in the housing market if that's what you're after.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks so much, O. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other high-quality podcasts at americastalking.com.